Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to our first Play Attention virtual coffee break. We are going to be doing these coffee breaks for the next 6 weeks, and we'll be discussing different homeschool topics that many of you have requested that we cover. And this is all in preparation for our kickoff to our Executive Function 101 course that starts mid-September. We're going to have lots of events that really are designed to support you this school year, because we know that this school year is going to be different, just as last school year ended on a very different note than we're used to. And this school year is going to be different and unique. And so we're going to provide you with some different opportunities to really talk about different topics and give you tips and strategies to help you in this upcoming school year. So our topic today is how to motivate your child to learn. Now, if you are on Facebook, feel free to type in any comments. And if you're in Zoom, absolutely type some comments or questions, because if you're in Zoom, I can actually address your questions and talk about your comments live. We're going to talk about how to motivate your child to learn. And that is our question or our topic of the day. Now, I'm going to try to keep this at about 15 to 20 minutes. Each of our coffee breaks will just be short, but I want to give you a take home. So we'll talk about this topic, but also a plan of action, something that you can actually do today. And before we even talk about how to motivate your child, I'm curious as to what motivates you. Because in order for your child to be motivated to learn, you have to be motivated. So why are you here today? Please go ahead and type in a comment either in Zoom or on Facebook. Why are you here today? You knew the topic. So what motivated you to come today? And I'm going to give my Zoom attendees a little time to actually type in so I can share what they're saying. Okay, great. Margot says that she is here today because she is trying to prepare for this school year and is struggling with content. Okay. Juan says he's been having difficulty getting his child to go through the school day and complete assignments. Good. And Rebecca says that she just wants some different ideas on how to inspire her child during the school day. Absolutely. Well, great. I'm glad you're all here because it is challenging. It's challenging to teach, isn't it? Diana says, I'm here today because my son's been shutting down and not doing schoolwork. Katie says, I'm here today because I work with parents in our region for technical assistance and questions about school, and I want to be able to help them with any questions they have. Great. Thank you so much for sharing what motivates you and why you're here today. There are a lot of others, but you probably have already connected to some of those comments already. And when we talk about motivating your child to learn today, I'm not going to discuss how to motivate your child to get done a worksheet or how to get your child to actually complete one of those assignments that have come through on the computer. So not just getting through an assignment, as motivating them to get done, which is usually, you know, the suggestions will be set up a reward system and things like that. I wanted to talk about how you can motivate your child to actually learn, to inspire a love of learning, to develop that sense of wonder and really get them excited about their knowledge base and wanting to know more. That's what we're truly talking about here. So it's important to start with the fact that each student is an individual. And everyone has different strengths and weaknesses. And at Play Attention, we keep that in mind when we're customizing your neurocognitive training plan. Some of you here are current clients, so you know that we look at the different strengths and weaknesses, and then we pinpoint the different cognitive exercises that are most appropriate for that individual. And we put that into that person's plan. So that's what I want you to start with. recognizing that each student is an individual. You may have more than one child at home right now that you're going to be working with this fall. And it's really important to know that person's learning style, because everyone learns differently. And it's been really interesting talking to parents lately who have called in, because they say, you know, I actually learned a lot about my child and how he or she learns. The teacher was always complaining, and I never really understood, you know, what the teacher was talking about, because when my child got home, of course, you're just doing homework. You're not actually teaching or going through that learning process necessarily. So you have this unique opportunity right now to really get a good understanding of how your child learns. And it's especially important to keep this in mind for every student, but especially when that student has ADHD or attention difficulties or weak executive function. We really need to design our lesson plans around that individual learning style. So you may notice that your child is an auditory learner, right? If you give your child something to listen to, maybe you've been using ebooks, or if they're older, you might be having them listen to some lectures. And they learn best auditorily when they can take that information in and process the information auditorily. That's how they learn. And they can then tell you what they learned from that lecture or that ebook. Others are very visual, right? You have to show them a picture. If you're talking about the solar system, you have to show them a picture of the solar system. If you're talking about fractions, you have to show them a pizza and how we cut that into fractions. So some of your learners are visual learners. Some are experiential. And this is really a lot of what we incorporate within Play Attention. We provide them with an experience of what it means to be attentive, right? What it means to stay focused. We provide them with that experience where they see their attention in real time. They feel what they're doing and they practice, because we know a lot of our learners are experiential learners. When you give them an experience, they learn. So you may have noticed that some of you, when you had really young child, let's say, and the child, you'd be teaching him his letters, right? And you would hold up a flashcard that was an A, and you'd hold up a flashcard that was a B, and then a C, and you'd go through this skill and drill over and over. And some days he knew his letters beautifully, and the next day it looked like he never saw that before. But when you got a sandbox and you had him actually draw the letters, right? You provided that experience. He started developing this understanding and this concept. So some of your learners are experiential learners. Some are reading and writing learners. And I can tell you, I've progressed into this type of learner, I think. I learn best, and I know this about myself, if I have to learn new material, and then I have to present on that material, I have to read it first, and then I have to write it all down, not type it. I have to actually write it all down in order to learn the material. So I've learned that about myself, that right now, I don't think it was true in the past, but at this point in my life, I'm a reading, writing type of learner. And then many of your children may be combination learners. So we have to look at the type of learner, and it might be subject specific. So you have this great opportunity right now to start learning your child's individual learning style and start incorporating that into some of your lesson plans. Then it's important to look at what your child's interests are. What do they enjoy? What inspires them? What are they passionate about? You know, we hear so much about ADHD and emotional control. They're very emotional. Well, that can actually be a good thing. If we can teach you how to manage those emotions, it can really mean that you're very passionate about things, right? So what is your child's passion? If you can really tap into what the interest is or what the passion is for that individual, then they're inspired to learn. If I have a child who loves horses and I have books on horses, she is going to be really motivated to learn how to read because she wants to read those books about horses and learn more, right? that's what inspires her to learn. And she is going to not only read those books, but I guarantee you she will be able to tell me every fact about the horses and what she learned and what she wants to do in the future with horses. So it's really important to look at your child's interests and what they enjoy. Because if you think about it, when they are in school 100% of the time, and I know everyone's experience this fall is going to be a little bit different. You know, so I keep saying this fall, I know some of you have already started your school year, but everyone's experience is going to be different. Some of you, many of you that I've talked to said that you're going to do homeschooling. You're not going to do all virtual. You're just going to do a virtual homeschool environment. Some of you are doing all virtual through your school system. Some of you are doing a hybrid. So I know it's different for everyone, but you know that the child's teacher doesn't really have the time to pinpoint your child's different interests and passions and incorporate that into an individualized lesson, right? That's just not going to happen, especially if they're going back to school now. There may be an interim teacher, right, that really doesn't know your child. And so it's important that you take that time to think about what are your child's interests and how can we incorporate this into our lesson planning. So no more lockstep teaching. A lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times when they're in the classroom, the teachers are teaching in this lockstep method, meaning that everyone is taught the same material in the same way, and they're expected to learn at the same pace. But you know, especially if you have a child with attention difficulties or weak executive function, that that is not the greatest teaching method for your child, that your child does not learn from that lockstep teaching method. There has to be more to teaching. There has to be more to the learning process. And I understand why a lot of teachers do this, because they have 30 kids, each child has a different need, each child has different strengths and weaknesses, but they have to pass the end of grade test at the end of the school year. And so we're kind of in this difficult space where this may seem the most efficient way to teach, but really you can look at teaching in other ways and spark a love of learning, and they'll still do a great job in those end of grade tests, maybe even better. So you have the opportunity to make learning motivational, fun, and wonderful. So skill and drill. I know that many of you are thinking, well, the teacher online or the school system is still going to mandate that we do these skill and drill, right? The worksheets, the skills and drills that you have on some computer app that they've sent to you. And yes, you are still going to have to complete those, but consider those as practice, not teaching, okay? Those are reinforcement for the concepts that they've learned, but that is not how you're going to teach your child these concepts. So let's look at our steps, because remember, I told you by the end of this session, I wanted you to have a plan of action. So the very first step is to assess your child's learning style. Remember, it may be auditory, it may be visual, experiential, reading, writing, or maybe a combination, okay? So first, let's assess that. Then let's identify your child's passion and interest. And in the past, I've done a webinar on finding your child and finding your own passion. So I have a passion survey. If you would like that, just type in passion survey on Facebook or on the in the chat box in Zoom, and I'll make certain you get a sample of that. Because we really want to spark that love of learning, and the best way we can do that is to bring in your child's interests. But now, here's where the work begins, right? We have to decide how to connect the dots. How are we going to take our child's learning style and passion and incorporate that with the curriculum that we know we have to cover, okay? How are we going to do that? So we need to connect the dots now. And I'm going to give you an example, okay? Because I was working with my children and my friends' children, okay? And I know a lot of you here today are doing kind of a co-oping situation where you're sharing the homeschool experience, you're sharing those responsibilities. So you may have combined your children. So not only are you going to have more children to work with, but you're also going to have some different grade levels, right? So there are ways you can do this, projects you can do in order to cover the curriculum for different grade levels and really spark a love and motivate them to learn. Now, I know that our children combined are all hooked on Food Network, and they love Master Chef Junior, and they love all the shows where they go into different diners and restaurants. And so that is a topic they talk about a lot. So we created our own diner. And we can really take a lot of math skills here, and we have segregated them into different grade levels, right? So we have some middle school children, and we have some elementary school children, and we have some high school children. But if we look at fractions, percentages, addition, subtraction, multiplication, that can all be incorporated into our own diner. And everyone has a role. We assign assignments, and they are looked at not really as assignments like they're used to getting, but they're learning fractions. They're learning how to multiply fractions. They're learning percentages, addition and subtraction and multiplication. They're using all of this in our diner because there are lots of different jobs we have to do. So one was that we knew there were going to be 8 people coming, I'm sorry, not 8, there were 12 people coming in for a dinner party. And those 12 people wanted a certain recipe. But the recipe we had was only for 4 servings, and we needed 12 servings. So how were we going to modify that recipe in order to accommodate 12 servings? So right there, you have an opportunity not only to do simple addition and subtraction and multiplication, but multiplying fractions, because there's quarters, there's 1/8, there are 2/3, and we have to multiply that in order to get our servings for 12 people. We can also look at our desserts, and we have to make certain, in order to make a certain revenue, that we cut that cake into 8 equal servings. And how are we going to do that? So we're giving them a visual representation of fractions. Percentages come in at the end also when you have to pay your bill, and your server was wonderful and you want to give them a 25% tip. Your bill is $28.95. How are you going to calculate the percentages? So we brought in all different types of math skills here. And I can tell you that they knew how to multiply fractions. They were excited about talking about what they learned, and it was a great opportunity. And they'll remember this. They are going to remember this experience. They're going to remember fractions. They're going to remember how to calculate percentages, and they're excited because now we've given them context and meaning. And it was a fun. And then we had a payoff, of course, because then we get to eat the food at the end as well. But we also bring in reading comprehension, because we had certain diners who were coming in with nutritional restrictions. So we had to research that, and we had to read about it. We had others that were coming in for a private party, and they wanted a specific regional cuisine. So we had to read about different areas, and that really sparked their interest and sparked their reading comprehension. And they could tell us about what they learned about that specific region and the foods in that region and what we should make from there. And so it was really good exercise in helping to develop reading comprehension. And of course, all throughout this project, we were working on executive function, because every single part of this, we had to have extreme focus. We had to remember instructions. We had to plan things out. We had to prioritize. We had to organize everything. And we had to organize. We came up with a method. You know, we put out the problem that sometimes we had a recipe and we would forget, well, did I add the salt, or did you add the salt? Did anyone add the salt? Do we need to add more salt? So we would forget, right, what we put into the recipe already. So we had to brainstorm and come up with an organizational method. So we decided to take all of the ingredients that we needed for that recipe and line them up on the left-hand side of the counter. And then as we added them, we moved that ingredient over to the right. So we knew exactly what we had added. But that was a brainstorming in organization. We had to prioritize what has to be served first, what needs to be made first, who do we have to contact. So this was a wonderful experience in math skills and reading comprehension, and in, of course, strengthening their executive function. And it was all done in a creative and fun way. And now they're coming up with their own ideas on what project they want to do to practice their fractions, to practice their reading comprehension and their focus ability or their memory. So it really inspires them to learn more, and they start coming up with the ideas. So here's your assignment for your coffee break. I know you didn't expect to have an assignment at the end of this, but let's look at this. Let's take a plan of action right now and write down, just think about your child's learning style. Have you ever really thought about it and maybe jotted down, you know, when he's doing math, I noticed that when I did this particular activity, he learned very quickly. So start really reflecting. And I always recommend that you write it down or type it in a file so that you remember. And so just kind of take some notes on your child's individual learning style, and then write down your interests, your child's interests and passions. So we have this list that we can draw from. And many of you here today had asked for that passion survey, and I will definitely get that out to you. And then also, write down the curriculum needs. What is your objective? In the next month, in the next upcoming month, what is your curriculum objective? What areas do you need to cover in math, in science, or history? So start jotting those down, because remember, now we have to connect the dots, and we have to develop a plan on connecting the curriculum to the learning style and your child's interest. And this is all, remember, not to motivate them to get through the skill and drill, but to make that skill and drill easier later on. Because if you inspire and motivate learning, then you give them that skill and drill that they have to do later on. They know the material, and the skill and drill is going to be much easier for them, right? And they're going to be able to get through that. It's not going to be as daunting. You can talk about, well, remember, this is just like when we were in the restaurant and we were going through the recipe, multiplying fractions. That's all this is. You can think of it in the same way. So you're inspiring that love of learning and motivating them and making it fun. And involve your child in this process, because they're going to have great ideas. This is a very creative type of process. And also, when they have some say in what they want to learn and how they want to learn it, then they're going to be motivated to complete it and really learn it. And the discussions you have afterwards are incredible. They really want to share what they learned, rather than when they get home from a long day at school and you ask them what they learned and they say, I don't know. So really does change that whole learning process. And your enthusiasm will be infectious, right? If you're enthusiastic about what you're doing, they're going to be enthusiastic about it. And, you know, just think about this. You are in a unique opportunity right now, and things are different, but you have an opportunity to spark a love of learning right now. And you do need to work with your child. And I know that you want the best for your child. So you might as well make it fun for yourself as well, and really start getting creative and having a joy of learning with your child. So think about these steps and see if you can take this as a call to action and start jotting down some ideas to really start motivating your child to want to learn, to start that wonder. And I want you to challenge me. So for the next Monday's coffee break, I want you to send me a direct request. And the request is, I want to teach my child blank, and I want to tie it into my child's interest, that is blank. So go ahead and email me what you want to teach your child, what's in the curriculum and what you need to teach, and what your child's interest is. And we're going to select 3 submissions. So we're going to select a submission from elementary grade level, from middle school grade level, and then high school grade level. And we're going to share a plan with you in each of those grade levels based on one of your submissions. So you can post it on Facebook, post that question on Facebook to me, or you can send an email to me directly. My name's Gwen Sorley, but it's G Sorley, SORLEY, @playattention.net. So go ahead and submit your questions to me, and we will select 3, 1 from each category, elementary, middle, and high school, and we're going to talk about your lesson plan the next time we get together. Because remember, we're in this together. It takes a village, right? So we're all into this new school year together, and we can support each other by giving each other some tips and strategies that we can use in order to make this school year even better. You can also share the plan that you developed. So if you have developed a plan based on what we discussed today, taking into account your child's learning style, what motivates them, what inspires them, what they're passionate about, and the curriculum, go ahead and share that with us, and we can talk about those at the next meeting as well. You can send it, like our page at PlayAttention1 for Instagram, and tag your picture with #PlayAttention, or post it to your photo or description on your Facebook wall and tag us, or you can email me directly, and we'll share some of your inspired plans at our next meeting. Now, also, a couple of things I want to mention as well. And one is that we have a webinar on Friday that's really going to be kind of an extension of this, and I hope you can attend. If you haven't registered yet, make certain you go to playattention.com and go to our special webinars, and you'll see that there is this webinar listed. And the host is going to be the CEO of the company, Peter Freer, who really and truly knows how to make learning fun and wonderful. And he's going to have some great ideas for you. And I did tell him that I would share one of your requests so that he could have something prepared for you on Friday as well. So I do hope you can attend. Make certain you go and register if you haven't already. And that's this Friday, the 14th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you can't attend live, don't worry. We always share our events, the recorded events, to all of our webinar registrants. Couple more things about how Play Attention can help. Of course, we have our Play Attention Neurocognitive Training Program. If you need any assistance getting your program started, make certain you reach out to us, and we can talk to you about how we can develop a customized program to help your child or yourself or your clients develop the core cognitive skills that they need for strong executive function and self-regulation. We have assessment packages and consultations available. So if you go to our website and do the free consultation, we'll be able to really talk to you about your individual needs, and then customize a plan that you can review and make certain that Play Attention is the right learning tool for your child or yourself or your clients. We also have an Executive Function 101 course coming up. As I mentioned, these next 6 weeks for our coffee breaks are kind of a lead up to our Executive Function 101 course. And in that course, we're going to have different activities. 5 different activities will be released each week that you can incorporate into your weekly school schedule. We're going to break them into categories, which are activities that strengthen executive function. And each activity will focus on attention or working memory, emotional control, and the different areas of executive function. Each one will have its own category: organization skills, time management. Those will all be incorporated, and there will be different levels. So elementary, middle, high school, and adult. So if you're an adult and you want to work on those activities, please do. You can go to our website, playattention.com, click on resources, and the very first tab under that is Executive Function 101 course to learn more. It is $99 registration fee for your entire family. So whether you have one person or 6 people enrolling, it's the same cost. And if you put in HS 2020 for homeschool 2020, you'll receive 20% off your registration. But it's fantastic for current Play Attention clients because the activities are going to actually support the skills that they're learning within Play Attention. And if you're not a current Play Attention client, that is absolutely fine. You can start activities that will teach executive function. And don't forget, every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern, we'll continue to have these coffee breaks. And next week, we will continue this theme a little bit. We'll talk about some practical plans. I'll have some ideas based on your feedback, and we'll also share some of the plans that you came up with. So I hope you enjoyed today's session. Remember, your plan of action. First, jot down your child's individual learning style. And then, what motivates your child? What's his interest? What's his passion? And then connect the dots. How are you going to take those elements and incorporate them into the school curriculum? Thank you so much, everyone, for attending today. We look forward to seeing you at Friday's webinar, and I appreciate your time and attention. Take care, everyone.